Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the AWE podcast as part of the Daily Combat podcast. We're combining shows here today. This is Hollywood Matt Connolly, and I have to do it legally, contractually required to do a double bicep. Oh, and I've been upstaged here. By, yes, the background is he was prepared.
Look at the glare, though.
He zoomed out. He's got buttons just for the bicep pose.
The button was ready on. He was waiting for me to do the pose.
I had to try to get it.
You got our angle.
My own show. That's great. So, yes, welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. The co-host, the co-founder, the co-breather of air, co-wearer of clothes in this very room, the king of sting, the master of disaster, Thunderlips, the ultimate male. It is, in fact, the winner of the Dave Stockbridge of the Year Award. You can see it right there. This man is an illustrious man. He was holding up his illustrious trophy. I'm going for it again this year.
Yeah, I've got my nomination.
Yeah, do you think you'll probably be the favourite?
Weak competition this year.
Yeah,
there's got to be a lot of Dave Stockbridges out there in the world.
Yeah.
I reckon there'll be a few.
This is the winner.
We need. I think we actually need to dig and find out what you're up against properly.
Yeah, I've taken out a few of them naturally. It's been a process of weeding them out over the years. I don't want to expose myself to any strong competition, but naturally, when you hear of Dave Stockbridge being born, I pay attention. I read the papers. I cross them off, and when they're about 3 or 4, you'll find that there's a high incidence of tragedy that's associated with young Dave Stockbridges. But look, now's not the time. Now's not the time to be talking about these things.
That's
and
right. So it is Dave Stockbridge.
Thank you.
Welcome to your own podcast.
Thank you very much for that very, very warm welcome. As always, Hollywood Matt Connolly. And we've got ourselves a very special guest, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is Ryan Blue Bowen. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Blue Bowen. And Ryan, you're much more than just a beard. It seems you are indeed a physical transformation occurring before our very eyes. And sorry,
the beard is a fairly new feature. Wasn't that long ago that I wouldn't have had sufficient hair in my face to attempt this, but we've reached a level of maturity in life that it's possible. There are, if I turn side on, there's still gaps. But I can brush them over, so it's okay. But yeah, man, I actually have a quest to become the strongest ginger in the world, in respect to arm wrestling. That's one of my goals.
I know Matt wanted to talk to you about your physical transformation, but I was quite intrigued by the facial hair transformation. I wondered if they happen to go hand in hand and whether one's possible without the other.
There is a direct correlation, just like I've never been seen with Batman in the same room, or what you will from that. My strength has gone up as my hair has gotten longer on my face. That is also a correlation. I tell you, growing out a moustache is a pain in the ass, though. I hung out with Sam Safuri the other day, and that's a beard. Okay, and his moustache is this long ass thing that just comes out here on top of this massive beard. Yeah, and I'm trying to grow it out, but it is impossible to eat anything now without getting shit everywhere. And I don't think I could kiss my wife now at all. It's like she's like
you have to fight your way through the jungle to get there. You're getting hair in your mouth,
yes. When I eat, I'll bite the hair. I'm like, and you gotta constantly do this. And
so the diet is primarily protein based, and that's hair. It's a hair based diet, and that's leading to the. So I think you've got to start off with what type of moustache do I want to accompany the beard, and I think from there it becomes all the easier. I think if you're just in that growing out stage and you're not quite sure, and you're just in the wilderness when it comes to your facial hair, and you're not sure what style you're going to go with, it's one of those growing pains you just got to deal with, unfortunately.
Yeah, you feel a bit like a caveman, and you're not sure what's going on, and you don't know whether you should trim it or not. But at the moment, it's just let it go. Just let it go and see what happens.
So you've had no trims as such, and when was the last time you had a shave?
The last.
Really getting to the core, the big issues.
We want dates and times and names.
This is since September.
And was the goal always to grow a beard, or did it just start off where you just hadn't shaved for a few days and then that turned into a week?
Let it go. There wasn't a plan.
You had a beard.
There wasn't a plan until, funnily enough, about a month ago, I said to a couple of buddies, I said, you know what? I'm going to go all in on this world's strongest ginger thing. I'm chasing it. I'm gonna market my damn beard. I'm gonna grow a beard, and that's gonna be a story and an angle.
Yeah.
And I did, and the next minute I got the beard struggle even knocking on my door and sponsoring me. So it's been successful.
It's
And
earning
that's
your money as you speak.
And that's a beard struggle. And if people wanted to get a great product at a discounted price,
20% off with the code arm wrestle.
20% off.
20% off.
What is it? They use a code? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, just chuck in the code arm wrestle at beardstruggle.com and you'll get 20% off.
And what sort of products do they sell there?
Everything. Beard oils, beard balms, beard waxes, brushes, combs. I don't know, all sorts of stuff.
And how did all of that come about? They noticed your beard journey and decided to jump on board? Was that how it went?
I think it was my association with Hafthor Bjornsson and how much I look like him. And it just became so obvious that I was the next greatest ginger to roam the earth. And they couldn't help themselves.
Yeah, this wasn't meant to be a podcast about beards, but I'm happy to continue the discussion. Do people treat you differently, or do you feel that the world treats you differently now that you're a muscular man with a beard, as opposed to, say, just a few short months ago when you were neither of those things?
I have to say yes. I have to say the world does treat you differently with a beard and being muscular. For sure, I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't go back.
You're not going back?
No, look, my wife is, even though she won't kiss me, my wife has very directly told me you are never to shave that beard off, because I've done it once before since we're married, and she was like, "What is that?" No. Yes, the world treats you differently with a beard.
So you have spousal support through this process.
Yes.
Wonderful. This is great. How about you, Matt? Because you're recently new to the beard game yourself.
I am.
Yeah, and I mean, it's nice and thick now. And what brought you to the world of beards?
It was the same as Ryan. I just stopped shaving for a few days, and then it was like, let's just see what happens, and then I'll just keep doing this. And now I had people have asked me questions. Oh, do you have to brush it? Do you have to do? And I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing.
But honestly, Matt, we got to be truthful here. Your correlation, you made about a 10-kilo gain as well during your time of beard arriving. So there's something to it. I mean, Dave when before he had his beard, he was only a 65-kilo welterweight or something. Now he's
not even.
He could barely bench press the bar.
And I had a very high pitched voice. That was the other strange thing.
Bang. There you go.
I think the world does treat muscular men with beards differently, and having been on either sides of that coin, and as we all have, I would suggest to anybody who wants to command a room, the easiest way to do that is put on 20 kilos of muscle and grow yourself out a nice beard, and people seemingly respect you a little bit more. I don't know if that's because the three greatest men of all time, I guess, are God, Jesus, and Santa Claus. And I mean, you've got your beard correlation right there. I mean, Jesus was pretty lean, but the other guys, you'd imagine, fairly muscular.
Santa was bulking.
Santa would have been big in the day, but I think he's just one of those guys. As time went by, like, he kept his frame, just.
Let it go. Just sort of slipped down a little bit.
I think I can see Santa with a big bench. I think Santa's got a big bench.
I would say so. Yeah, a lot of power up top. Yeah, and so this is amusing us. If it's not amusing you at home, we're having a great time. So
we don't even need a segue. We're just going to keep on going.
We'll just keep going down this particular rabbit hole. So Ryan, it has been somewhat of the body transformation, and for those that aren't following arm wrestling, but may just be tuning into the Daily Combat podcast and aren't familiar, Ryan's a world-class arm wrestler and one of the biggest names in the sport, having garnered a huge following on YouTube, and it's become very much one of the louder voices when you're talking arm wrestling anywhere around the world. If you're talking arm wrestling, there's every chance Ryan Bowen's going to pop up in the discussion at some point. And there was you mentioned it yourself just more recently in one of your videos, a low point where you'd basically you'd not lost a lot of weight, but you'd downsized to compete at a lower weight division, and then had a loss, wasn't expecting it, and your bounce back from that was has led to the man that we now see today, beard and all. So, but it's not all just. So, tell us a little bit about that moment. So, you've gone in, you've competed. This was against Coach Ray, and had for many people an unexpected loss there. And you seemed well. You almost looked ill. I mean, you downsized considerably, looked really thin, and
really weak.
True though, always true. I look like a cancer patient.
Do you look back at yourself and think, oh, that doesn't even look like
terrible.
me now?
When I see those photos, it's terrible. I just think I can't believe that's me. But it was interesting because at the time so 6 months prior to the match with Coach Ray, I was probably a 95 kilo guy. And I made the decision at the time of I want to give myself the best chance of being at the top of the world ranks, or as close to it as possible within any given weight category. And I guessed at the time, I thought 85 kilos will be that weight category that I'll someday win a world title. That was my guess at the time. I thought I've done enough strength work over the 9 years at the time that I've been in the sport, and I thought, yep, I'll be ready once I just get to an appropriate weight category. So I started dieting down, and I was 92 kilos before I got on the plane to go and face Coach Ray. And we were meant to meet at 90 kilos. I then got in the sauna and dehydrated down to 80, 89 kilos and weighed in and looked terrible and got smashed. And I was like, wow, okay. And then after that, having breakfast with the different guys that were there at the time, Giannis Amelins in particular, I remember talking to him. He's one of a multiple world champion Latvian arm wrestler himself, and coach and mentor to Coach Ray. I said to him, "What would you prescribe to me as a strength coach, arm wrestling coach, if you were?" And he said, to recognize that you're not a 90 kilo guy, you're a 100 kilo guy, and you should be getting a foundation of strength. Your hand is good, but you don't have the strength to back it up. So that was pretty much when I made the decision. All right, go all in on base level foundation strength. I started eating a shitload of food, and put my head down and trained hard.
And you've jumped quite significantly from 89 kilos to where are you now? About 107, is that right?
AWE 1, I was 107 kilos. Yeah, that's where I'm a bit lighter than that at the moment. I'm about 104 at the moment. But yeah, 107, comp ready 107. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah, 17, 18 kilo difference.
And you'd never weight trained before in any of your other endeavors?
Not with any degree of consistency. I grew up enjoying random bits of weights here and there, going to the gym with my buddies, that sort of stuff. In the army, we did generalized fitness and strength, but I was never into powerlifting, never into bodybuilding, never into anything like that saw me in any gym in a consistent level. I was always consistent with sport. I played things like tennis. I represented the army in a whole bunch of different sports, but I never focused on strength. So arm wrestling was my first sport that really dedicated to strength. But for my first 9.5 years, I was very intrigued by doing things differently. I was like to kind of give you an analogy. I was always that guy, if I played a video game, that as a kid, would pick the most obscure combination of skills and try to win the game. That I didn't like to do the commonly known best approach. I'm like, nah, screw that. I want to do it a weird way. So I went all in on the hand and wrist very, very specifically. I tried to identify the most critical movements in the sport that were minute, and become really strong at those things. And that served me well for a season and a long time. It got me to where I was. But I eventually, it was the loss to Coach Ray that really identified me. I could feel it physically that I'd hit a ceiling that I just couldn't really break through. And that for me was like, all right, I guess I got it. I guess it's time to change my approach. And yeah, so now I'm 6-7 months into training, and I for that 6-month block, I was coached by Sebastian Oreb, who is the same coach as Hafthor Bjornsson. So a man that has taken Thor and others to world records. So a man who knows what he's talking about in the world of strength. Someone who was an elite powerlifter himself. I think he had a 400 kilo squat, for example, at 100 kilos body weight. Strong dude. So learning principles from him and being guided by Lachlan Adair as well. You guys know Lachlan, Australia's #1 ranked.
And how excited is Lachlan about all of this? Because I can just imagine Lachlan Adair is your best mate. He's a beast. He's 140 kilos.
Finally, finally.
But he's a huge muscular guy, and he's probably been begging you to come to the gym.
Lachlan has been at me for about 5 years on, Ryan, you need to do some fundamental strength, foundation strength training. Come on, like, and I could never listen to Lachlan because he was my best mate. I just couldn't do it. It's like, you don't want to listen to your dad when he's telling you off, but you'll listen to your uncle. You know what you mean? Like it's kind of like that. But I always get it back with Lachlan because I say to Lachlan, how many times have I taught you and showed you how to up your social media to the point where it's your career? And he's like, yeah, I know, I'm getting there. So, we struggle to listen to each other in our own areas of expertise. But now that I am on board with it, Lachlan is overseeing everything for me. He's tweaking and guiding, making sure everything we got from Sebastian in a principle and functional sense is being appropriately targeted towards arm wrestling.
I actually thought you were going to say now Lachlan's doing social media, loads of videos documenting his journey, but no, he's not.
He hasn't quite got there yet, but he wants to. He wants arm wrestling to be his pure career and nothing else. And I'm like, well, you know what to do, Lachlan. Come on, I've been telling you this. But so we'll see where that goes. But in the strength sense, he's guiding things, and it's been very obvious, the results, in terms of visually. In terms of what it actually translates to the table is very fascinating as well. Unexpectedly to me, it's my hand and wrist actually feels like it's made the gains. Even though I've been focusing on my chest and my shoulders, my back, and all those other sort of base level movements. Now that when I grip up with guys that I used to be balanced with somewhat, it now feels like my hand just dominates them. So all of that extra base power is made all of the time and the years that I spent making my hand strong. It's now allowing even more dominance to happen in the hand respect.
Yeah, I was going to say before, my favorite Lachlan Adair videos are the ones where he'll be deadlifting like 300 kilos. But he'll be doing it in his own home gym in his backyard or something, and his son is like toddling around, and he'll lift the 300, and then he'll very gently put the 300 down, so to not disturb the child that's running around. It's not to scare him. It's like, okay, that's 300 kilos. How are you doing that?
Yeah, yeah. I think Lachlan's got a 360 kilo deadlift as his best. I think, not bad.
Wow.
Yeah, he's enormous, and Australia's #1 arm wrestler at the moment, and he will be featuring on one of our events coming up soon.
An AWE event.
It is.
It's just something to look forward to in the not too distant future. And Ryan, have you ever had like any form of dysmorphia or any hang-ups about your own physicality, or has it been always? And now it's worse.
I acknowledge its existence, the dysmorphia that I currently have, but I don't really care at the same time, because I know I have two things going on in my head simultaneously, and I'm sure this is probably a common experience for anyone in this same basket. But when I look at my arms, when I look at myself in the mirror, I see myself as small. I really do. I do not see myself as having big forearms even. But I know the truth is my forearms are big. I know they're big relative to everyone else out there in society. They are, but
they're just small relative to your wrist. That's the problem. If you had a smaller, like a normal human sized wrist, you might think you got a good sized forearm.
Like a chicken bone.
Here we go. There, see, you had to go to widescreen just to fit the wrist in.
The muscle can.
The wrist has been good to me for hand control, but I do feel like that's the strength athlete's curse, is you're forever small. So yeah, and I mean all our buddies, all of my buddies are strong. I don't have friends that aren't strong. I just don't.
So were you the weak one before? Was that what was
I was pretty skinny and weak. I was pretty skinny and weak at the start of arm wrestling. I've always been strong pound for pound, but
that sounds like a good brand. Just by the way, if you were going to.
But yeah, I've never understood strength like I'm starting to now. Yeah, and it's addictive. It's very enjoyable now.
So, what did you not like about your body before, and what do you like about your body now, and what don't you like about your body, and what could you change if you had a little magic wand and you look like Matt Connolly?
Just just on the aesthetic side, I never used to care as an arm wrestler. I never cared about my legs ever. Like I didn't. But in the last 6 months, I've developed a chest and shoulders that I never used to have, and all of a sudden, it's really exaggerated how skinny my legs are. There was a little video of me on the spin bike the other day. It looks ridiculous.
Like you're riding a chicken.
Yeah. So I would like to change. I would like to grow some legs.
I've noticed you've kicked in some of that training just in the last week or two.
Yeah, I'm squatting.
Have you been able to walk?
I'm doing isolated hamstring curls and quadricep extensions, all that sort of stuff. There's farmers carries, there's reverse hypers, there's lots of stuff in the program now. Yeah.
What was the first week of that like?
Yeah, like challenging. After my first heavy leg day, Lachlan Adair, I went over to his place and he wanted me to work on some technique stuff with him. And he said to me, one of the ways you get your foot stance correct, if you're unsure whether you should have your toes in or out, he said, just jump for me as high as you can. And when you land, just keep your feet naturally wherever they land. And we'll have a look at what your feet angle is. And I jump as high as I can. And I just fall into a freaking floor. When I landed, I forgot that my legs were erect.
Straight through the floor.
My quads did not catch me.
So we still don't know the answer to that question.
So apparently I should start a deadlift from lying on the ground.
And so now you've been training. What now the chest is coming out, the back's coming out. Are you liking that? Is that something?
Oh yeah. It's nice to have more muscular chest and shoulders for sure. It translates well to the arm wrestling table as well. My percent. Oh, interestingly, I was hoping to. I did a bloody body scan thing today.
Oh yes,
I did a body scan thing today. Which.
So did you do a before and after, or?
8 weeks ago, I did one on the exact same machine, and to be honest, I might as well throw it out. It was useless, and the reason I say it was useless is in the last 6 weeks, I've lost about 3 kilos, right? Oh, yeah. And the mirror test will tell me. I knew that was going to be the case. I've lost about 3 kilos. I've trimmed up significantly in the waist. And that's mostly come about because I've introduced legs into the program. Like my just metabolism, the amount of calories I'm burning in a day, recovering from that has been up. And over the last 6 weeks, I've really dialed in on my diet. Only eating whole foods, only drinking water, no soft drink, nothing. It's all been clean and really good. So it's the best 6 weeks I've ever had in nutrition, and I've been training like a beast. And I was looking forward to it. I'm like, what's it going to say? Anyway, so it tells me that compared to last time, so I lost 2.4 kilos. But apparently that 2.4 kilos was a 4 kilo loss in muscle and a 2.4 kilo gain in fat. And I'm like, what the hell? As if that's the case.
Oh no.
The poor personal trainer that was doing it, she was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry, I don't know what to say," because she sees me train every single day at the gym. She knows me, and I'm like, oh, that's all right. It just shows that the bloody machine is. The error is not
supposed to put both feet on there. That's why. Oh, right.
It really disappointed me because I love data, and I was excited. I'm like, I'm going to have data, and I'm like, this is a joke. Like, people would quit their fitness journey if they got a report like this after 8 weeks prior. But anyway, so I think I have. If I would truly want to know what my body composition is, I think I got to do like a DEXA scan or something like that.
If the last 2 years have taught us anything, you need to trust the science, and if that's what the data's saying, that's what they're saying.
The 2 kilos that you lost, it was actually 4 kilos of fat. It makes perfect sense.
But when you're looking at the mirror, that's not what you're seeing. You are saying you're trimming up. You're feeling like you're filling out in all the right places and getting stronger where you need to be stronger.
Yeah, I feel really good. I'm certain that I'm almost to the point where I'm ready to take a shirt off down the street. You know, like I mean, like that's
you can do it now.
Match you. Lucky I'm wearing
I think the last time I was comfortable doing that was probably about 25 years old. So it was a while ago.
Oh, we had you at the beach. Remember, you came down to South Australia. My first meeting.
I mean, I'll go for a swim, but I'm like, I'm not.
Was topless.
Everyone was topless.
That's right.
Yeah. Also, I've got the ginger thing. I've got to remember this Australian sun is pretty harsh. So
I remember having you a hat. It's a sun cream or something because about 20 minutes in, you were turning pink.
Much like this live.
I was like the background in your podcast room there. That's the color I got.
So what's next? So it's you've gained significantly about 15 to 17 kilos, and this is a journey you're very definitely going to continue until you can get that t-shirt off. So it's a matter of getting leaner, a bit more muscular, a bit more vascular now. You're looking for some more of the aesthetics?
They are the lead goals. The lead goal is become a world champion arm wrestler, but I do believe that this process at the moment will result in some of those things that you were saying happening as a byproduct. My real goal in the strength is to and this was something that Sebastian or Reb really imparted to me. Sebastian has coached many athletes from many various sports, and he never tries to coach them in that sport. He never tries to say you need this specific strength for that sport. He says, I'm going to make your whole body strong, and then you know what to do with it for your sport. So functional strength, whole body functional strength is what my goal is. It is very nice, the idea of continually getting more weight on the bench press, the deadlift, all that sort of stuff. But I'm going to be careful not to end up chasing those things as a priority. My current bench 1RM is 140 kilos. I'd love to bench 145 by next month or something like that. But we'll see where it goes. The biggest priority is that I become a better arm wrestler.
What was your starting point when was it 6 months ago, 7 months ago? You've jumped into the gym. Some of your starting numbers compared to what they are at this point.
Yeah, the bench press 1RM was 105 kilos, and now it's 140.
That's massive.
Yeah. Deadlift, I just had never really deadlifted ever. I deadlift 160 double overhand now. Things like rows and all that sort of stuff. All the pulling motions are fantastic from arm wrestling. They've come to me really quickly. So a cable row I might do for an RPE 9 week. I might do sets of 8 with 130 kilos on or something, and have form that is pretty solid, like the very, very minimal back inertia going into it. So that's where I'm at now. And at the start of that, my rows would have been around 90 for the same weight. So.
Yeah. So, and when you did first start doing bench press, because it's a bit of an unusual movement, especially when you're much stronger on one side than the other. How did you go with balance and just getting that right?
It's still happening. My right arm doesn't straighten. That's one factor. So we go.
No locking out.
Left arm.
Yep.
Right
arm. Okay.
That's from arm wrestling.
Yeah. So you can see that there is an imbalance. That the right arm is considerably stronger. In every movement in the gym, I've found. Interestingly, on the bench press, even though my right arm is stronger, my left arm will always come up first when the load is reaching close to failure. It's like my left arm my body or my brain tells me you're not going to get this next rep. So right, you got to take over the load. It lets the left go up, and then the right starts actually taking
Joining in.
the majority of the load. So my left arm always gets to the top first when it gets hard. So things like that are a challenge to try to correct. That said, again, go back on things Sebastian talked to me about when I first started with him, he said, look, imbalance is not necessarily a problem. It just is what it is, and every athlete's different. Every person has their stronger side. We don't need to get it perfect. We don't need to get it balanced entirely. We just need to keep it functional and healthy and progress in overall strength. I'm keeping that in mind, and I think the gap is closing slowly, but the left arm will never get to where the right is. I just don't think it's possible.
And do you wake up, say, at 3 a.m. and just with the thought of arm wrestling coach Ray now that you're 108 kilos? Is this something that just comes up?
I get asked that question a lot about when am I going to have a rematch with Coach Ray. I'm not going to ask for a rematch. I think that the rematch will come in the form of a casual side table pull next time, or on one occasion when we happen to be at the same event. With the weight categories now being so drastically different, it'd be
That's
kind
what
of
I mean. That's what I want to see. I just want to see 107 kilo Ryan Bosch picking over the table.
I'm your god now, Ray.
Yeah, if I couldn't beat Ray now, that'd be a problem. So
he is quite significantly lower in weight, though, isn't he? I mean, he's
gone down since our match. He's gone down. He's now like 85 kilos.
Yeah. So he bulked up, and you had to cut down.
Yeah, he bulked up to the match for me, and I cut down. So yeah, I won't do it again. I won't do that again.
No. I think with the competitor that's always bulking up in a sport like arm wrestling, where it's all tendons and connective tissue and all of that type of thing, is always going to have the advantage, because when you're dieting and you're dropping that weight, it's all of that stuff that gets affected as well as, I mean, certainly top end power, but just the stuff that connects everything seems to be less of it when you're dieting down and dehydrated.
Yeah, and it's challenging. Traveling, time zones, dehydrating, they're all accumulating factors that reduce your strength for sure. Compared to I always feel my best when I am really well fed, and that's how I peak for a match. Is I spend the last week prior to the match forcing an extra meal in compared to what I'd normally be doing, and hydrating maybe 1.5 times what I'd normally be drinking in a day. So I love to be feeling full and fat and almost a bit bloated, that strongman kind of power belly sort of look that you see. That's how I like to feel when I go into a big match.
I feel like I'm preparing for that match, but not actually having the match.
You're preparing for all.
I'm just trying to squeeze in that extra meal and stay hydrated all the time.
Just in case. You'll be ready.
So Ryan, just recently you released a really fascinating video where you kind of recapped kind of where you've come from, where you are at the moment, and where you want to go. And I was really intrigued by that video, even as somebody who kind of knows a little bit about what's going on there behind the scenes for you. But perhaps explain that away. So you have built a following on YouTube, essentially documenting your journey, developing a profile as somebody who wants to be a world-class arm wrestler, and now you're at that level. What's it all about now for you moving forward with your channel, and how you're going to be presenting your videos and your content moving forward?
Yeah, it has been you described it well with it saying it's been a documentation. When 10 years ago when I discovered arm wrestling and I wanted it to be my career, I identified that documenting the journey would probably be the best and most effective way to eventually arrive at the point of it being a career, because there was no inherent pay structure within the sport that was going to provide for that unless you were absolutely the best guy in the world. And even then it was still a questionable amount, even to this day. Direct prize money is not really that much comparable to other sports. So I recognize that, okay, document the journey, and that in itself will lead to growth in business opportunities and will help drag me up as an arm wrestler. So I just went all in on that, and through that process, kind of found myself in a career through commentary and through documenting my own journey as an arm wrestler. Where I'm at now, I feel like I'm knocking on the door of the elite level. I feel like I am at the world level pro, but I'm not quite at the elite level yet, and I'm close. So for me, and this is reflecting again on why I came to the strength journey, was I'd been splitting my energy between being a YouTuber and being a strength athlete, and I felt that I actually needed to take that 50% away from being a content creator and put it all in on the athlete if I am going to make it to the elite level. And so I have been doing that for the last 6 months. So my channel has reduced in terms of high end editing and commentary and analysis of the sport like I was doing. And I've gone into more just focusing on my journey. But I now am at the point where I'm starting to get a better feel for it, and I want to go down the path of just doing more in the production sense to following my journey in the gym and chasing this. So rather than just being there's a video of me bench pressing and nothing more, it'll be a much more enriched sort of story behind it and what's going on, and not necessarily not vlogish, but I don't know. I'll find my feet, but
vlogish.
Yeah, I'm making up words now. But you'll see an evolution on the channel for sure.
Fantastic. And if anybody is listening and doesn't already subscribe to Ryan Blue Bowen's channel, certainly head over to YouTube, or just, start looking at arm wrestling videos on Facebook, and Ryan will pop up sometimes very shortly thereafter.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
I just mentioned that we do actually have AWE number 2, which is a big event that we are putting on.
Oh, yeah.
But I was just going to put the shirt.
There we go.
I didn't even mean to put this on. It's just, and look, Ryan's done the same thing.
Oh, there we go.
There you go. The arm wrestling entertainment number 2 event. But the point I was going to make there was that Ryan's opponent, Artem Taranenko, has a very similar sort of story to yours in terms of you both started arm wrestling around the same time, started your content creation. You've both been on a 10-year journey, and you've sort of come together for this moment here. And it's
Artem's muscled up recently over recent times as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So
Adam's proper jacked right now. He's the Russian spy, as we like to call him. He's a Russian-born and now American citizen. So we don't know if he's actually just collecting information or if he declares himself an American. But we'll find out.
I did like that when we were creating posters. You said, "Which flag do you want in the background?"
I didn't know. I gave him the option if he wanted the Russian or the American flag. He chose the American flag, and I've been waiting for the retribution from the motherland to come through, but it will be. It's a good match because we do have a very similar story. There's a lot of parallels between us, and we've known each other for a decade now. So I have beaten him once before, so I'll do it again.
July the 2nd. July the 2nd.
July the 2nd, yeah, coming to your live via pay-per-view, so you can catch that pay-per-view with the athlete of choice. So people can jump onto Ryan's channel, and the pay-per-view will be available. But there's also an undercard and some spectacular matchups that are taking shape right now. So if you can't quite afford the pay-per-view but still love your arm wrestling, there'll be plenty there for you. But if you've got an extra $10, we've got a show for you.
That's right.
And of course, main eventing along with. Can we make the announcement?
We've got Lachlan Adair and
we can announce that.
Jordan Sill. Yeah, that's been announced.
We're checking with Ryan. He's nodding, so we'll say yes. Okay, awesome. So and Jordan Sill. So that's a interesting matchup.
My favorite match on the entire card that I'm really looking forward to this one. It's for the AWE heavyweight title. Current champ is Latvian Guntas Baikovs, super heavyweight. He's 127 kilos or something. This guy has won Latvian overalls. He's won Europeans. He's podiumed, I think, at the World Championships in his day. He's a stud. But then there's the Tahitian giant Marcus Atirai, who you have to say he obliterated his opponents at AWE 1, and he has stood up as like, oh my goodness, hang on, this guy might arrive. Devin Larratt's met Marcus Atirai, described him as the strongest novice he's ever gripped. That was 4 years ago.
Wow.
Now he's starting to arrive in technique and understanding the sport. I spoke to Marcus last night, and he said, I want to rip Gunter's arm off. Like I don't think it's going to match. I'm going to rip Gunter's arm off. Is what Marcus is self-talking. He's like, it's not. I'm not thinking about a match that is close or adjustments. I'm going to throw him to the side.
And that would have been said in the softest, nicest voice ever as well. So I'm just going to rip his arm off. Something along those lines.
I can't wait for that. I can't wait for those two.
My goodness! You know that it was really interesting just reading through the comments after AWE 1, and it seemed Marcus Atirai really all of a sudden he was the chat. You know, everybody was talking about Marcus, and it was a real breakthrough moment because not only did he beat one high-level competitor, but then he jumped in last minute and decided to take on Lachlan Carpenter, who was the Australian Openweight champion, and was
he made two of Australia's best look like they were non-existent.
Yeah, the pin he got on Adam Laura, the first pin, that was one of the hardest pins I've ever heard. If you go, it's on YouTube. If you look up Adam Laura versus Marcus Atirai and look for that first round, and Marcus slams Adam's hand. It was a crack. It was like cracking sound. When
seismic meters in China, they've got it registered.
Like,
I genuinely like Gunter's is a very talented arm wrestler. He's not only big and strong, but he's a very good arm wrestler as well. So like for me as the arm wrestling commentator and fan, I look at this match and as a training partner of Marcus Atirai, I'm scared for Marcus. I'm like, Marcus, Gunter's is really good. He knows how to move, and he's strong and he's tall. And Marcus is like, it's not going to matter. Throwing them off the table.
So do you have a prediction, Ryan, with respect to that one?
No, I'm too scared to say anything, Dave. I'm too scared to say anything.
And $100 bet is going on.
I don't do well betting against South Australians so far. So look, Gunter's has to be the favorite. He is the champ. He's incredibly experienced. That adds up to a lot. But Marcus Atirai, I agree with what Devin said. He has stronger base power than anyone else in the country. He does. He has. I've watched him do 82 kilos of back pressure on a direct cable with no sliding of the elbow, no getting underneath on the angle, just 82 kilos. And you're like, okay, the dude has a lot of power. So I think Marcus is strong enough. I don't know if he's good enough, but he's feeling confident enough that he can do it. So to me, if he beats Gunter's, we've got a superstar being born to the world of arm wrestling.
That's going to be an incredible
if he beats Gunter's.
And AWE junior belt is on the line once again. So we've got Hamza Hodgick and up against
Ethan Tunstall.
Ethan Tunstall, yes. So and how do you see that one, Ryan?
That one, I am happy to say that I think Brisbane's going to get the win. I underestimated
another $100 bet going on. There's $200 on the line now.
I did grip up with Hamza the day after, and I was incredibly impressed with him. But I do train with Ethan literally 5 days a week, and I think he has the tools and the strength to do it. But it'll be a good match. It'll be a dangerous match for both of them. Yeah. I think they both have the tools to win. It's just going to come down to who can control the high ground, and I think Ethan comes in as the heavier, taller guy this time, where Hamza had that advantage over Jamie. I think Ethan has that advantage over him. Maybe not in height, but certainly in weight. Ethan is 105 kilos.
Yeah, well, Hamza's now 125 kilos and 6'7". So it's been a month. So he's growing that quick. So that's the great thing with the juniors. You never quite know who's going to be walking into the cage.
That will be an amazing match. So it's the junior belt. So 20 years and and
under.
So Ethan's sitting right at 20 years old, I think, and Hums is 17.
17. Yeah, he had his school formal just before AWE 1. That was the night before.
You have to sneak away from the weigh-ins for the school formal.
Turned up to the formal late because he had the weigh-ins at AWE 1. So some very impressive matchups. And
Mario Tempakis is taking on Ryan's opponent on the left arm.
Adam
Taranenko and Mario Tempakis will have a match on left. That'll be exciting as well.
Very interesting, that one.
And we've got less.
Adam is somewhat of a left specialist too. He's actually ranked number 1 in the USA on the left arm at 220 pounds. So he's it should be a good match. Mario is of course one of the studs of Australian arm wrestling, in particular on the left arm as well. So Mario probably 5 kilos heavier than Adam, but I think it'll be a good match. Yeah, I hope Mario takes it, but it could go either way.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the main event? So we've got Lachlan Adair, Australia's number 1 arm wrestler, incredibly strong guy, very big, very powerful. He's taking on the American Jordan Sill. Can you tell us a little bit about Jordan Sill and why this will be an exciting match?
Yeah. Jordan the Thrill Sill, they call him. If you've followed American arm wrestling, you'll know the name Jordan Sill. He's someone who has pins on Todd Hutchins, pins on Rob Vigent Jr. He was for a long time a regular training partner of John Brzenk when they both lived in Utah. John speaks incredibly. John, being the greatest arm wrestler of all time, speaks incredibly highly of Jordan Sill. He has an enormous hand. One of his features is that he just doesn't let people slip. He just controls you, and that is his main weapon. And he backs it up then with enormous arm as well. So he's been arm wrestling for I think 15 years or so. Very, very accomplished arm wrestler. His weight usually ranges anywhere from 220 to 240 pounds. So that sits very similar to Lachlan's, and that should be an amazing main event. I think that Lachlan actually is the slight favourite, given he's got the home ground advantage, but it's going to be a big one.
That should be exciting as well. There's all these matches that are on the card. It's they're so competitive. It's like, oh my god, this is going to be amazing. When you can't sort of pick a clear winner and say, oh, that guy's obviously going to win. You know, it's a squash match. All of these, it's like, I don't really know. It could go either way, but they're all going to be amazing matches and all going to be incredibly exciting. So,
I mean, I'm interested to know when Lachlan, for instance, competing against Jordan, who's got a really big hand, how does Lachlan prepare for that in training?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because like Lachlan is
somebody wear a baseball glove.
Lachlan is an inside puller, so he typically wants to. He's comfortable in the hook for sure. Jordan is someone that I would characterize his style as he denies people's top rolls and forces them into a hook. But then once they're in a hook, he doesn't really dig down and stay supinated. He likes to drag and rotate. So, so you can imagine a drag and a rotation style hook from Jordan up against a supinated style side pressure based hook from Lachlan. It's interesting because I think Jordan has to be careful how close to the fire he goes. If he gets too close to Lachlan's arm will be too much for him. He's got to keep it high in the wrist and keep it away from Lachlan's big power. And for Lachlan, it's vice versa. He wants to drag Jordan down. He wants to get him closer to him on the table. If he can bring Jordan to his side of the table, it'll be over. But of course, attempting to bring Jordan to his side of the table will make Lachlan's wrists vulnerable. So Lachlan may need to trade that forward and back real estate by coming to the front of the pad, which is going to effectively reduce his own side pressure potential and increase Jordan's, but it will secure his hand. So there's a lot of trade-offs that could happen. I expect Jordan to attack the hand and wrist of Lachlan, and Lachlan to just bang hard sideways and try to get it arm on arm.
First to four. All these matches on the card will be first to four. Yeah, so
I love the first to four format. I'm so thrilled that AWE has adopted their first to four. I think it provides just enough time for a comeback potential. Someone can fade out that was looking dominant, and then all of a sudden there's a comeback on. It gives us great opportunity for many styles to be employed. Wrestling's not a black and white story a lot of the time, and surprises, counterattacks, it opens it up for all that. So I love the first to four format.
Yeah, I love seeing it come back, and that's one of the things. If somebody is an explosive arm wrestler and they just blasting through the early rounds, doesn't necessarily mean that they can win the match, because you might get the first three, you might be up 3-0 thinking that everything's going great, but you've gassed out.
Yeah.
And that's when your opponent's like, oh, I've got this now. And then you see that comeback, and it's like that build of momentum, and the other person's like, I just got to get one more. I love that ability to do that. I think the 4 rounds really suits that quite well.
Yeah. Some very warmly received innovations of the AWA, and I think First to Four is going to prove to be one of those, and just to make the sport more watchable, as well as the conflict resolution, so that on the spot, any issues that may arise from a referee's decision can be dealt with in a really timely and professional manner. So you don't have circumstances where the athlete's having to plead to the officials or to the promoter or to anybody who might be watching on pay-per-view to kind of settle the matter. So there's certainly a few innovations there in the arm wrestling world that AWE's been able to inject so far, and it's a very, very short life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, one of the things that we would have liked to have done on the first one, and this is
what, do it topless.
Yeah, it's topless. It's
all
just
topless. Tattoo the AWA on the front.
It's in a pool of jelly. We wanted to sort of briefly give the audience the ability to know what sort of rule set that we're running under, and one of the things that we really wanted to highlight was that we're not calling micro fouls. Like it's if your elbow just very slightly lift up for half a second and it doesn't affect the outcome of the match in any way, keep going. We're not even going to call it a running foul. It just keep going.
Yeah.
Whereas you'll find a lot of other organizations, they'll call that and they'll actually stop the match and then they'll restart it all. And it's very sort of wasted. Trying to watch a match like that, and then they're just getting into it, and then it's like, oh, hang on, stop it, start again, and they go again, and then they slip, and then they get another foul, and it's like, oh, when's the actual match going to happen? So yeah, that was one of the things we did implement, and so there was, and you would have seen this in your match with Matawarengi Hanamoros. Is in, I think it was the second round, you hit very hard, and Matawarengi's elbow, it dropped off the side of the pad for a quarter of a second, it just went off and on, which in any other organization they would have said that that's a foul, but it didn't affect anything in terms of the outcome of his positioning or anything like that. So it continued and was not called. But yeah, those little changes that we're trying to make it more exciting, more. That's why we're calling it arm wrestling entertainment, because we're looking to put on matches. We want to see a result every time.
Absolutely, good stuff. Love it.
Awesome.
1st of July, damn it. 2nd of July.
Sorry, what was that?
I just did chucking in a bit of a promo. 1st of July for USA, 2nd of July for Australia.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, 1st July. So people. I don't know. Is it too early? Can they pre-register? I don't know. Is that something they can do? Probably the link's not open yet.
Not as of yet, but it will be in the next one.
We'll remind people as we get closer. I'm sure there'll be a couple of opportunities for us to
them.
Yeah,
this is the only promotion we'll do.
Yeah. So a whole lot more coming your way. So if you are an arm wrestling fan, then stay tuned, because AWE 2 is coming 1st of July or 2nd of July. It just depends on what part of the planet you happen to be on at the time, of course. And you'll see the man on screen and his beard and all of his muscularity, as we've been discussing, on inside the cage and beside the table, and across from Artem. Artem is going to be flying all the way over from America via Russia to be here. Well, thank you very much for all of your time, Ryan. Certainly appreciate it. It's been exciting watching your journey over the last few months and seeing this transformation take place before our very eyes, and great to see that you're feeling strong and healthy and optimistic about the future.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I really appreciate your time. And I'll see you guys at AWE 2.
Awesome. Let's get a double bicep pose in just before we go.
We need a muscle.
There we go. We got the wide range. I'll just get in. The most muscular. Embarrass myself. There we go. Look at that. There we go.
We need to have a muscle.
There's
button.
the white swan. There's the mighty white swan.
The white swan.
Well, thank you very much, Ryan Blue Bowen. And if people want to follow Ryan's journey, they can do so by heading over to his YouTube channel, Ryan Blue Bowen. Of course, jump onto Facebook, do the same. Make sure that the videos are popping up in your feed. And if you get a few minutes of time, then head over to the Pound for Pound website, where you will see world-leading strap technology now on offer in the store. So Pound for Pound will be your home for the very best competitive and training arm wrestling straps you can find anywhere on the planet, as far as we're concerned. I'll just put that exclamation. But Ryan, you've actually been putting in an enormous amount of work in getting these straps just right, because you did have a strap previously in store, which I think we might even have a couple somewhere here in the studio.
I like strap arm wrestling. And I just want to that has been the product I've been working on the most, back and forth with manufacturers, getting it right. So I think we're at that point now. So looking forward to seeing that over the tables in competitions.
Fantastic. So, and that is the strap of choice for the AWE. So that's what you'll be seeing there. And of course, by the time the AWE 2 rolls around, you'll be able to find the straps in store. So stay tuned for that, and a whole lot more of Ryan Blue Bowen. Just simply follow him and make sure that you're staying in touch and following this man's journey. He's one of the greats of the sport, and is one of the most exciting people that you can keep in contact with in the world of arm wrestling, combat sports, well, any sport. Just follow this man. So, and beard growing, of course, is he's a world leader. And all brought to you today by Roll Clean. That's a big shout out to Roll Clean and Beard. What was the beard place? Beard.
Beard Struggle.
Beard Struggle with the arm wrestling is the code. You can get 20% off Beard Struggle. Arm wrestle. Just arm wrestle. Should be just AWE, it's easy. But arm wrestle, you can head over there, Beard Struggle, get yourself 20% off, get nice luscious beards, just like this and just like this. And of course, make sure that you're rolling clean, and they've got your back. Roll clean. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Cheers, guys.